Good morning. This is Carmelia Chavers, and I am the host of Making Room for Your Gift. And I have no other than my pastor for 19, almost 19 years, right? Yeah. 19 years. I have my pastor, Mark A. Williams. He is the pastor of Faith Fellowship Bible Church, Faith Fellowship Corona, and he also has a communal Bible study on Wednesday mornings at 6:30 a.m. And let me give you that number right quick so you could dial into that. It's area code 712-770-5505, and the access code is 446986, and then the number sign. And also, you can find on Facebook Live. Faith Fellowship Corona, and you'll be able to listen to past that anytime you want. You can go back and listen to the show. But the pastor has been a pastor for over 35 years.
Yeah, I've been in ministry 39 years,
Oh,
and I've been
wow.
a pastor 37 years.
Okay, okay, because I totally was looking at your bio and it just said 30 plus years, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And the pastor and his wife, Lady Najer, are the founders of Faith Fellowship over 19 years ago. And this church is, I'm telling you, the pastor teaches from the Bible. He teaches the Word of God, and he teaches it um, to what exactly what it says. He doesn't add to it or take away from it, and that's what I really like about that. And Pastor is a father of six and a grandfather of six, and he always reminds
Actually,
us of that.
there's a new addition. I have 7.
Oh, that is so
Yeah,
awesome! That be fruitful and multiply. That's so
absolutely,
it's
absolutely.
totally a blessing to be under your teaching, Pastor. I
Well,
have
thank you, thank you.
books of notes from 19 years ago.
Oh wow,
I just
oh wow.
write all the points in the
Well,
sermons
thank
and
you.
everything, and I'm gonna put this out here first on the beginning. When is the book coming out?
Well, I've made a few transitions. I believe that will allow me more time.
Oh, okay,
You
okay,
know, with the addition of Pastor Keith has come on, and he's a big help.
okay,
It takes some of the load off of me,
okay,
and
okay,
so I am within the next 2 years.
okay.
You know, I feel like there are multiple books. One of the challenges is that which one and where did I start? You know, I started a couple of books. You know, called I've started one book which is transition.
Uh-huh.
You know, how to transition your life, how to transition your church, how to transition, spiritually.
Yes.
I've started that. Then there's one book I've been working on that um, a lot of men are very interested in, and that one is overcoming the addiction from Philistine women.
Oh my goodness.
Right, right,
Oh my
right,
goodness.
right.
You know, Pastor, you're such a wealth of information. I can have you on at least once a month.
Oh, thank you.
And then we'll
Thank you.
try to work that into your schedule as we
Thank
go.
you.
And I'm trying
Okay.
to schedule the shows like a couple of months ahead of time because I have four weeks to fill up.
Okay.
So this is such a blessing. Thank you, Pastor Starks and Lady Cassandra, for giving me this opportunity. And my subject this month is the calling.
Okay.
How does a person know that they are called? That's one of the things that people struggle with.
Well, I think that question is multifaceted.
Okay.
Um, First of all, there is a sense of knowing.
Okay.
I've known that there was something different about me, about my life, about how I went about my life. I've always had a pull toward the church. You know, all my life, even though I tried to that phrase run from it,
Yeah.
because my father was a preacher, was a pastor. I grew up around pastors. I've always been around the church. It's nothing I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It's not like I wanted to do.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And
I can
so
understand that.
the Lord has a way of, when it's time for me to accept and start my journey, you could see the communication getting closer.
Okay.
Um, and Lord shut doors. I had doors open. I was, to me, I was going to be a singer. I was going to do other stuff, and God shut all those doors. So I would, have to follow the only door that He opened.
Well, and that I'm seeing that inside of your calling, you can still do some of those things, but
Right.
not as, of course, being a professional singer and travel all over.
Yeah.
But the Lord, he knows what, like you said today, he knows this morning, and we just had a 9 o'clock service, and we have a 9 o'clock service every Sunday at 4225 Prado Road in Corona, California, 92880. So come on down and visit us, and we would love to have you. And you can, like I said, you can go into Facebook Live and catch all the old Bible studies that Pastor has done. It's the 6:30 a.m. Bible study, and we would just love to have you. Now, Pastor, I'm having a couple of other pastors on this month, and I'm asking a little bit same question for those pastors. And I've already asked the first question, and it says, how do you balance your family and the ministry? It's got to be a difficult balance. And I know you explained it to us, but I like to ask the question and don't say what I know. I want you to tell me how your perspective.
Well, I don't know whether how much you go into this, but I was married before. This is my second marriage.
Okay.
I was married when I was 20 years old.
Okay.
Simultaneously, the same time I started my call.
Oh, okay.
We were, both young, and I did it the wrong way the first time.
Okay.
Whereas, I put the church ahead of and the calling ahead of everything and everybody, and that's not how God created it to be.
Okay.
You should not neglect your family, your children, your wife for the ministry. Because sometimes we're caught up in doing church work, but that's not always the work of the church. The work of the church never clashes. There's never a clash with what God has, and your family. But sometimes we get caught up at that time. I was caught up in denominational work and caught up in a lot of other things that just occupied 50 hours a week plus. And so I had no time. And so that creates a lot of other issues.
Yeah.
And so over the years, I've learned to do it a different way. Now, I've been married 21 years. And so
Congratulations.
my youngest daughter, the daughter that me and my wife had together is almost 19.
Yeah.
So during that time, and that, being a faith, I never would allow church stuff to come in the way of my family. The last time our marriage retreat was on a cruise, I missed that. It was about 12 years ago. Okay. Because it was my daughter's first father-daughter dance.
Oh, how
And
sweet.
so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be here and go to the dance.
Oh, yes.
You all go
Yes,
and do
yes,
that.
I
I'm going to
remember
do that. And so, and now she remembers that.
Yes.
But that's forgotten. Whoever else is on that cruise, that's been forgotten.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of, using wisdom and knowing the difference. And don't let God set your agenda, not people.
Yes, yes. And I was going to go there, but you answered that for me. Now I know, I had a person slated to do a report. Well, she had a report in her class on pastors that were getting burned out, and they were either quitting the pulpit, or some of the pastors were committing suicide. So what do you have to say about burnout?
It's an epidemic. And I guess, my long answer would be, even though I'm not, I'll be 60. I'll be celebrating a 59th birthday this year. So I'm considered, an older person, but I've been in this thing a while.
Yes.
And so now I've become a senior pastor. And over the years, 39 years is a long time to be in ministry. I've just kind of figured it out.
Yeah.
When I came here and I started faith, I said I wanted to do ministry a different way.
Okay.
And that way is, like I said, the balance. To understand that God called you to ministry, but He expects you to have a life. And you have to, it's a high stressful job.
Yes.
It's a high stressful job. And I'm answering it a lot, in an end around way. I'm just trying to condense it. Right. Is that you have to, again, not let others set your agenda.
Okay.
Learn to say no, I can't. No, I can't do that. If it's, you got no difference between what God is telling you to do and what others are telling you to do. And so I've learned that difference to not let other people set expectations, and thereby when you don't meet them, their disappointment in you can't be transferred to you.
Oh, that's good. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, because people are disappointed about decisions, about everybody doesn't like the sermon. Like I said, there are days I have some that I'm very animated. I'm from a Baptist background, so I go that way sometimes. And then there are other times I just teach. There are people that like both ways. There are people who are disappointed when I do one or the other. That doesn't affect me.
Okay, that's good.
That doesn't affect me. I'm going to do what God has me to do, and that's it. Then also, I've learned I don't let people set expectations over how I live my life.
I like that.
Now, I grew up as a PK. That's for people that know that's a pastor's kid.
Yeah.
And you get that, oh, he's a pastor kid. You can't do this, and you can't do that. You can't do this, you can't do that. I've broken completely free from that. Me and my wife, we go to jazz concerts. We've been to Frankie Beverly, we've been to OJ's, we've been to other stuff.
Yeah.
You got to be able to enjoy your life.
You do.
I've been to, I went to Kings of Comedy. I did all of that stuff. I mean, because you got to enjoy life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't let people, because people, especially with our church, we have such a melting pot. We have people from every denomination who will set, your agenda. Yeah. Who will set their expectations. But I don't let that. You have to be free from that. And I think that affects burnout. And you got to know how to get away. Now, a lot of guys take sabbaticals and all of that. That doesn't work for me.
Oh. Okay.
I don't be, I don't want to be gone for 2 months or 3 months. But what I'll do is I'll take 3 days and I'm gone. Oh, okay. I'll take 2 days and I'm gone. Like when I leave here today, I've had a funeral yesterday, an event last night, a couple other things this week. So I'm going to just, decompress until probably Wednesday morning when I do Bible study and I have a funeral here then. Oh. So I'm going to, after we get through here, I'm done. And so you have to be able to set your own schedule.
Yes, and I know you are going to be. I know you do your golfing with your pastor buddies.
I do.
And I saw. I believe it's Pastor Labatt.
Labatt, yeah.
Labatt. Yeah. He put on Facebook. He put like maybe 10 of you together.
Yeah.
And I thought, those are all his friends.
Right.
Those are the people he calls when he wants to talk about stuff.
Yeah, and, we have a standing, and that's another thing because we have a standing tea time on Tuesday. And sometimes, because I have what's called probably excessive compulsive disorder. So whatever I'm into, I'm into. Okay. So I play golf fairly well, but with them, it's. When I play with them, sometimes it's about golf, and then sometimes it's just about life. We'll spend 4 hours, and sometimes how we play doesn't even matter because we're talking about stuff that pastors need to decompress, and that's much needed. To keep from like you said, to keep the burnout. And, I try to disciple and try to mentor young pastors. Yeah. To try to help them stay focused and stay grounded and to not sink into depression because the ministry is highs and lows. Like, we were in an emotional high a few minutes ago. That can turn into a definite low by Sunday evening.
Wow, that fast.
Yeah,
Wow.
most pastors struggle with Sunday evening. You're talking about a book. When we get down the road, I'm probably going to write Managing Sunday Evening.
Wow, that sounds like a good title because
Yeah.
some people don't realize what pastors have to go through. Like we were talking about, you have to balance the family. You got your wife, you know, expectations from her, the expectations from your children, grandchildren, your friends. You know, just your own relaxation and your own like chilling out. So I want to we have a few minutes here, and I wanted to just give some advice to the young pastors, if you could, you know, besides, you know, what we've
Yeah.
already said.
I'm gonna do this. I was at a funeral yesterday. My son's cousin, they were raised together.
Oh, I'm
He's
sorry.
20 years old. He died.
Wow.
And so, my son was, he's corporately, he was hurt about it.
Mhm.
My son's uncle was a pastor. And of course, I'm a pastor. And so everybody's always trying to make him a preacher.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
the pastor from the pulpit said, who knows, maybe Cameron will, this will cause him to come into the ministry. And so, when we got in the car afterwards, I said, do not let anybody make you and push you into this.
Yeah.
Because unless God has his hand on you and God calls you, you will not be able to last. And to me, it's a way of ruining somebody's life. And so,
I can
number
see that.
one, if just because you look like a pastor, people think you're a pastor, you speak eloquently, those are not reasons to be in ministry. You have to have a undying dying burden for this that the fire won't go out. Noah Jones preached a sermon one time and said the fire won't go out. And I'm just like, that's how it has to be in ministry. Yeah. That fire that just will not go out. Jeremiah says like fire in my bones.
Yes,
every time you try to stop, you have to do it. And so that has to be the burden, and that carries you through the difficult times. And the next thing to young pastors, manage your life. Manage your life. God called you in the ministry. There's a segment of your life that will be in ministry. There's a segment of your life that you are to live your life. Yes. Enjoy your wife. Enjoy your children. Enjoy your friends. Do the stuff that you enjoy doing. Yes. Whatever you enjoy doing.
Yeah. And the scriptures even says that you may have life and have it more abundantly. Yeah.
But we miss that. We enjoy. Like I said, I enjoy playing golf. I enjoy traveling and playing at other places. I enjoy, going to nice restaurants and eating. I enjoy that kind of stuff. And so, enjoy your life.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And you know what? This is such a important topic, and after getting so much resistance from I don't know, my surroundings. Every time I get ready to make an appointment with a pastor or someone about this subject, something happens and makes me think it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? I'm going to be ready today, just in case Pastor says, yes, I'm ready. So we got this interview in, and I'm really it's very important that you pray and you know that this is what you want to do, because it's not something for the faint of heart to be a pastor. Because it takes a toll on you if you, like you said, if you pushed into it. I can't see you lasting because you're going on someone else's expectation.
Even if you want it, I mean, again, I said I never wanted to do this. I don't get validation by this. And another thing, young pastors have to realize the church is not yours.
Okay.
It's not your responsibility to make it grow. That's not your responsibility. God requires you to be faithful. And then if you're faithful, then God adds to the church. Yes. Don't get into that, it's your responsibility to make it grow. And if it's growing, you're taking the accolades. If it's not growing, it's your responsibility. It's your fault. Don't get pushed into that.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And that's really important, when you're going into the ministry. And All right. I want to thank Pastor for giving me this time this evening, this afternoon. I know it's a busy week for them because they have the marriage retreat.
We do.
And that's one of the things that's very important to pastor marriage couples
Right.
working together in the
Right.
ministry to get God's job done or God's work done. And I wanted to say thank you that you just went right off right off the cuff. I knew you could because you've had so much experience, and like you said, I don't ask questions that are put a person
I
on the
know that
spot.
you would. Yeah.
But I would like to invite you back for
Sure.
any other topics
Sure.
that I may have.
Sure.
And I want to continue this series probably in April. Well, in March, and I want to get Pastor's wife, Lady Nader, on for her Woman to Woman conference in May, and we'll get back with you on any further details as far as cost and time and all that.
Yeah,
But
she'll be able to cover that. I just want to say that God is calling pastors, and so if God is calling you as a young man, don't be afraid to accept the call. But understand it is a call of God. It's a great life if you've been called to do it. But don't let anybody push you into a place where you haven't.
So this is some great information, and you can also go to the app for In Him Global Media and download the app for KCWG, and you can listen to this program over and over. It's a podcast. You can download it and have it for listen at your leisure. But you also, I'm going to put this on Facebook, and so that can be done. Good. And I want to thank you again, Pastor, for your time and for your.
Thank you for the interview and for being such a faithful member.
Oh yes, like I said, as long as you're teaching from the book, the Word, the Bible, I'm here because I love to learn.
Be as long as I'm there, so as long as I'm alive and have the position as pastor, because that's all I have.
And I love to get more into the Word, and you bring the Word, and I wanted to say that you teach the congregation how to apply the Word of God to everyday living, and that's what I like. And you teach it with passion, and you always say you have to have a passion for your ministry, and that could be for the greeters, that could be for the deacons and ministers on staff, and any ministry in the church, you should have a passion for it. So thank you so much for joining us on KCWG, thetruth.com, and listen on every Tuesday, 10 to 10:30 a.m. And hopefully we will see you there in this KCWG, the best internet radio on the planet.